What's up, everybody? P691000 here. It's been a few weeks since I've made a video, man. I've been on a crazy work schedule. But today we're going to do something fun. Today we're going to do creepy Florida urban legends, and I've got some good ones for you guys today. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The epitaph reads, "Ah, broken is the golden bowl, the spirit flown forever. Let the bell toll. A saintly soul floats on the Stangan River. Come, let the burial rite be read, the funeral song be sung, an anthem for the queenless dead that died so young. A dirge for her doubly dead, and that she died so young." Many believe that the poem is the main indicator of her witchcraft. The lines, "the spirit flown forever and floats on the Stygian River," are meant to imply that a witch's spirit is unable to cross the river of death and is trapped between life and death. The line, "for her the doubly dead," indicates a witch must be killed twice, while the queenless dead refers to a witch being queens of the dead. But it is not just a poem. Many think that it is unlikely for a regular woman so young to be given such an elaborate grave, leading to the rumor that Bessie bewitched Alexander into marrying her because of his wealth. And it was because of a love spell that he felt compelled to commemorate her in such an extravagant way. Bessie's grave faced west, against the old Christian tradition that graves should face east, and believers used that as proof she was a witch. The nickname White Witch has nothing to do with her race, and was given to Bessie under the assumption that she was a good witch, as most know black magic is bad magic, but white magic is good magic. Although there is no documentation proving these rumors true during her lifetime, Bessie has the most visited grave in the cemetery. It is frequently visited by curious spectators and is apparently visited by many witches who leave offerings to her. The legend of Bessie has been heard by many across Florida, and there are claims of connections to older witches during her lifetime, but no legitimate evidence can be found of this. So it leaves the question, is it a rumor that spread out of control, or was Bessie a witch who knew how to cover her tracks? The ghost of the St. Augustine Lighthouse. They're built to keep sailors from crashing into the land, and their keepers are often represented as lonely hermits. So by their nature, aren't all lighthouses pretty much creepy? The St. Augustine Lighthouse, which was built in 1874, is no exception. One favorite story involves one of the lighthouse's early keepers, Peter Rasmussen. A big fan of cigars, Rasmussen's ghost is one of the earliest reported phenomenons from the lighthouse. It's said staff and guests can still occasionally smell the smoke of his cigars years after his death. One of the more macabre legends involves a pair of girls, Eliza and Mary Pitty, who in the late 1800s drowned in the nearby water while their mother was working on lighthouse renovations. Later, the girls can still be heard at the lighthouse's top late at night, laughing. Captain Tony's Saloon. Captain Tony's Saloon is one of the most haunted places in all of Florida and has a dark history of hauntings. It was 1865 when a hurricane hit the Florida Keys and water came crashing through the city, smashing nearly everything in its wake. The city morgue, that would later become Captain Tony's, was no exception to this devastation. The many corpses that were awaiting burial or autopsy were washed away except for one. History tells us that the one body recovered was laying in front of the building and was later buried beneath the building, surrounded by holy water and enclosed by a wall where the pool room now resides. Lady in Blue. Later, the local pub would expand, building around a tree that was once used for hangings. Many were lynched and hung from this tree, including a woman who murdered her sons and her husband. She was immediately hung in the blue dress that was covered in her victim's blood. Many say she is the first ghost to inhabit Captain Tony's. She has been seen so many times that she is referred to as the Lady in Blue. Elvira's Grave. During the building's construction, while removing old flooring, workers discovered the skeletal remains of several people and a grave marker of a woman named Elvira. It is believed that these may very well be some of the missing bodies that were lost after the hurricane. Another horrific tale surrounding the bar is the story of a young woman who came into the building when it was a speakeasy in search of her husband. She had her infant child with her, and when discovering her husband drunk, she had a mental breakdown. She ran into the ladies' room and killed her child and put the body under a blanket and left. And it is with these and other grim events that the haunted story of Captain Tony's Saloon begins. The Ghostly Encounters. Many who visited this legendary bar have experienced some sort of strange encounter. Often the events surround the ladies' restroom, where patrons have reported various mysterious occurrences. One woman reported that she tried to go in the first stall, but it was locked. When she went into the second stall, she noticed that no one was in the first. Before leaving the bar later that evening, she went back only to find the first stall still locked. And before she knew what was happening, The outside door to the restroom opened and closed. Although no one could be seen, when she went into the back stall, she heard the door of the first stall unlock and slam. Alarmed, she jumped up to see what was happening, and still no one was in sight, and the first stall was again locked. The bar's owner, Joe Farber, who considers himself to be a skeptic, reports that he too has had several experiences that were not just spooky, but terrifying. One night alone, around 4 a.m., Joe heard a voice calling out to him. He got up from his desk to investigate, but saw no one was there. He walked to the back of the bar and noticed the back doors were wide open, even though he'd locked them hours before. Unable to explain the voice he heard, he simply brushed it off, until a few years later when the same voice called out to him again. This time the voice said, "Don't leave." Joe ran to check the back doors, and this time they were locked. He found nothing out of the ordinary throughout the bar, so he went home. Hours later, around 6 a.m., Joe got a call from the police saying they found the body of a young teenage girl in front of the bar. It seems she called her mother just after overdosing on pills to commit suicide. Her mother called the police, and later they found her body in front of Captain Tony's. Joe believes the voice was telling him to stay, that he might have been able to save the girl's life, but only that spirit truly knows for sure. The Devil's Chair. In Lake Helen, Cassadaga Cemetery sits the Devil's Chair. The Devil's Chair is a wide brick bench that legend has it was built by the devil himself. Each night at midnight, the devil returns to lounge in his chair. Rumor has it if you sit on it, he whispers evil ideas to you, and you're forever haunted by the experience. If you leave a full can of beer for the devil and return the next morning, legend says the can will be empty, and the devil will give you blessings. The Sunshine Skyway Ghost. The Sunshine Skyway Bridge was a modern marvel when it opened in 1954. The bridge spans the mouth of Tampa Bay, connecting St. Petersburg on the north with Brennington on the south. But due to its height, it has also been an infamous spot for suicide jumpers over the years. More than 200 deaths over the decade, according to some reports. Drivers on the bridge have reported seeing a beautiful blonde hitchhiker on the bridge. When they pick her up, however, she begins to cry as the car approaches the top of the span. When the driver turns around to ask what's wrong, the woman has vanished. In 1980, the bridge was struck by a freighter, collapsing the central span and killing 36 people. The Gator Club. Josh Hojakney has been manager of the Gator Club for more than 10 years, and some events there have been difficult to explain, he says. Electronics and lights that he and others believe were turned off turn out to be on, while cold breezes move through the interior in the middle of the summertime. Presences are often felt, including in the large leaded mirrors on the second floor. Hojakney said it's difficult to find evidence that the presence belongs to any specific person. Hauser said the establishment is known for multiple ghosts, including Mary Worth, the wife of William Worth, who owned Worth's grocery store, the first business to occupy the space when it opened in 1912. She just seems to roam and wander as though she's still working there. she said, stating the ghost has reportedly poured free drinks for patrons. The Gator Club has been many things besides just a grocery store, however. It was a brothel from the 1930s to the early 50s, Hojackney said. Prior to that, during Prohibition, it was split into two sections, one of which was an ice cream shop. Those who knew covers for speakeasies during Prohibition, he said. A person's respect for the building as a designated historic site is an important determination of whether they'll encounter any issues with the presence there, Hojackney said. He recalls that one band who performed there had their equipment destroyed on a bi-weekly basis. As a result, they ceased playing the venue. I know the world around me is a very small part of what we see, he said. To assume that we know everything about what's going on around us is very presumptuous. Our senses are very limiting. However, he encouraged people to come to their own conclusions about the Gator Club. We've grown up around here and we like good stewards of this historic building to try to share our experiences as much as we can. So if you want to try to experience a ghostly phenomenon, the Gator Club is definitely the place to be. P691000 here, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that. That was a fun video. This was kind of a hard video to do because some states, like the smaller states like Maryland, it is really hard for me to research and find ghostly encounters, haunted places, cryptids, things of that nature. Florida was difficult because there are so many haunted places there that I could have used or put into this video that I had to pick and choose. I could do an entire part 2 just on Florida of haunted hauntings and things like that in Florida. So it was hard for me to pick and choose what I wanted to incorporate and what I didn't want to incorporate into this. But hopefully you guys like it. I'm going to try to crank out another video next weekend. I'm always trying to stay on the schedule of a video every weekend. Sorry, it's been kind of rough for the last 2 weeks. Very hectic work schedule for me right now. So hopefully you understand. But I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace, love. I love you all. Have a great day. And try to check out the Gator Club.